Hi, everyone. And we're delighted to have Dan Cooper back with us this afternoon. Dan's going to share today how he uses puppets in his speech and language therapy practice. And we will be recording this session, so please feel free, if you don't want to be on camera, to turn your camera off. And if you have any questions for Dan, please type them into the chat and he'll answer them at the end of the session. Hopefully that'll be all right with everybody. I'll be monitoring the chat as well throughout. My name is Teresa. Thank you very much, and over to Dan.
Great, thanks, Teresa. Let me see if I can share this screen. Okay, brilliant. So again, thanks, Teresa. Thanks for inviting me back to another Thursday 30. Today we're going to explore how puppets can support communication in a really broad sense with some AAC and modeling, supporting receptive language, emotional expression, engagement, and even some access skills like eye gaze calibration. So I'll be sharing 4 cases or examples how I've been using puppets purposefully and therapeutically across a range of needs. And at the end, I'll ask if you have any questions. If you have any ideas of how maybe you've been using puppets or how you could use puppets, I'd love to hear what thoughts you have on it. And I'll answer any questions, like Teresa said, that come up. Okay. So why puppets? Well, there are several reasons why puppets can be useful in our therapy sessions. For one thing, they lower pressure and they increase engagement. Many of our pupils find direct interaction overwhelming when it comes to AAC and modeling right in front of them and kind of that expectation of communication. So with puppets, it really gives them a safe space to be a playful, safe communication partner. And that allows me running the puppet to maybe exaggerate language, their emotions, any reactions in a way that feels really natural and non-threatening, non-demanding. Also, it's really useful using puppets with our children who have CVI. They offer a consistent visual contrast with the consistent clothing, where they are in their position and in their movement. It's very predictable and repeatable. And it's so it's really good for that. We can dress them up in a way that makes their contrast really good. They allow for exaggerated or low demand modeling. Like I said, for our children who have receptive language difficulties, puppets provide a visual scaffold. The puppets can show the task before we expect the child to attempt it. So we can model that lots and lots of times. And so they really get an idea of what they're supposed to do visually before we have them repeat that task. And additionally, when it comes to AAC, they can just be super adaptable. They can be using any kind of AAC system, high tech, low tech. They can use a different kinds of access method. You have to be a little creative there. You might be using their hands, but maybe you're using a mouse behind the scenes, especially when it comes to like something like eye tracking. They vocalize some puppets, but maybe they're not ones that are going to use their speech. And that means that we don't have to use those silly voices with puppets because naturally they are not going to be using speech. And since they aren't using that speaking voice, it's more natural when they are modeling the AAC because it makes sense. How else are they going to communicate? They need to use their AAC to do that. Okay, and so when I use the puppets for AAC modeling, I use those common principles that we would use for aided language stimulation. So I would model without expectation. I'd use the child's AAC system, whether that's low tech or high tech, and I would use their access method. When I'm using a class group, I try to use the one that's used mostly in that class group, but I'll use a variety to show that all AAC methods are valid. I keep my language simple and functional. I repeat those key words and key vocabulary, and then I respond to the puppet as if they're a genuine communicator. The puppet becomes that third person in the interaction, which takes the pressure off of the child and makes modeling more like a natural conversation. Again, like I said, if the puppet isn't using conventional speech, how else would they communicate? They'd use their AAC system, so it's very natural. And so these 4 case studies I'll share. One of them is going to be about a puppet modeling how to communicate pain or discomfort. Then I've got a grunting pig. This is one of my newer puppets, modeling a vocalized yes for auditory scanning and just yes in general. We've got a puppet that's used to increase motivation during eye gaze calibration. And then a little bit out of the box, I've got a puppet that's modeling how to follow instructions for a child with a receptive language needs. Okay, and so each one's going to highlight a different therapeutic purpose. Okay. So first one I'm going to start off with is the one that began it all, is Sunny Girl. Sunny Girl and I have been around for a few years now, and she's just got that right kind of expression. You can find Sunny Girl on eBay. There are different models, but they generally follow this look, and I find it really engaging. So yeah, Sunny Girl was the first one to get me started, and I'll just start off with a video of Sunny Girl. Sunny Girl, Sunny Girl. No, Sunny Girl, come here. Pay attention, okay? We've got another one to do. Can you clear that message first? Great. Okay. Now we've got two choices here. We've got a heart or an elephant to make our shapes with. What do you want to be? A heart or an elephant or something else? Have a think. Okay.
I want red.
Okay. Do you want a red heart or a red elephant? Oh, I think you made it too far there. Let's go back.
Elephant. I want red elephant.
Okay, we can do red elephant. Let's do that. Great. So there's just a modeling of or example of Sunny Girl modeling some language there. What we use Sunny Girl for is she's the sort of the poster child for our Something's Wrong groups. And these are groups that we use with children or classrooms when we're seeing lots of children. They're not really communicating their needs when they're not in a great way, like when they're uncomfortable. So Sunny Girl tells us when she's worried or she's uncomfortable, and she models that language we want the children to learn to use to express their needs. Ooh, I bumped ahead a little bit. Okay. So yeah, Sunny Girl attends our school as a student at Richard Cloudsley School. So like I said, many of the children are crying rather than using their AAC system as the first port of call. So we're trying to use, model that language that they could use. It's never right in the right time when they are crying to try to model that language. So we use Sunny Girl to model that language in a more relaxed time. And I've got a whole a session I could do about our Something's Wrong groups, but just briefly, this is Sunny Girl's role. This is kind of the breakout that we started using puppets for. And the goal of this is going to be a modeling initiation. So Sunny Girl raises her hand, she has something to say, and then communication using our AAC systems. So yeah, like I said, Sunny Girl would make her needs known a lot. So she really lets us know when something's wrong, when she can't see, when she's too hot, when she needs a break, when she wants her AFOs off. You might have seen that she had a hand splint on there. So she asked to have some of these things taken off and complain when she's not feeling well, when she can't see, she's too hot. So we would do this by modeling some of those words like help, hurt, and hot. We'd use this with her high-tech device, again, raising her hand first to say something, I've got something to say, showing that initiation, that she needs a communication book or she needs her AAC system. Then something's wrong. Then she would say something like, my stomach hurts, my tummy hurts, and then possibly come up with a solution like, I need to go to the nurse, I need to take a break, I need to come out of my chair. And then oops, Sunny Girl also models how to get that adult's attention, waving, vocalizing, or using the AAC system to say, excuse me, perhaps. I'll use whatever system that is used most in class, like I said, and I'll use a high-tech or low-tech system. And the puppet then stays in the class for that block of therapy so that they can use it when I'm not around to also model these things and be part of circle time. Maybe she's using the step-by-step, but she's part of the class and the communication that they use in there. Got that one. Okay. So some of the outcomes that we have, what we've seen is really encouraging. Children begin to using help and hurt spontaneously. They'll ask for it starts off, they asked for Sunny Girl to take her shoe off, for example. So they've seen Sunny Girl do it, and then they start to relate that back to their systems and ask for those things. So it's interesting to see how they're so engaged in what Sunny Girl wants to share that they get her to say it first or want her to say it first. But distressed behaviors have reduced because they've had a clear way to communicate what was wrong, and then staff have started adapting the puppet and to adopt that puppet to use modeling that kind of communication, which means more consistent modeling out the day. Okay, and she's actual model as well. So yeah, Sunny Girl was part of one class, and the teacher and I were talking about what are we missing here? What do we need? And the teacher said, well, we got AFOs, we got shoes, whatever, but some of our students are just not wearing their glasses. They've got prescriptions, they've got glasses, they won't wear them. So the next group we had Sunny Girl model more to say, something's wrong, I can't see. And then we went to, what could help, go into my thing, go to my equipment, and then there's my glasses. Oh yeah, let's get your glasses out. So I encourage you to use some cheap reading glasses though, because the first group we did that with, and one of the students who hasn't been wearing their glasses came up and took the glasses off. So we and threw them. So don't use expensive glasses. Don't use your own glasses. But really good modeling there, and it shows. They're paying attention to what she's doing, and she can model when she's has messages revolving around those things. Okay, so our next one is Percy Pig, and I'll just go into the video. You think you get a pretty good idea of what Percy does. Okay, Percy. Oh, we've got some Play-Doh to do today. Are you ready? Okay, so first thing we've got to do is choose what shape we're going to be. So we could make the shape of a heart or an elephant or something else. Heart. Not saying anything. Elephant? No. Something else? Okay, well, we've also got, let's see. We've got an alligator, a cloud, or a popsicle. Alligator? Yeah, okay, let's do an alligator. All right. So we've got alligator. What color do you want to use? What color of Play-Doh? We've got blue, yellow, or something else. Blue? You're looking at me. No. Yellow? No, not that either. Okay. Something else? Okay, well, let's see. We've got pink and we've got green or something else. Pink? No, you say no, not the pink. Green? Oh, so you would like a green alligator. Is that right? Okay, let's try that. Okay, so there's Percy. Yeah, Percy is, it's actually a dog toy, but it makes a great low sound. It's not one of those squeaky kind of dog toys, so it's just perfect for the sound we're looking for. This was for a child who's learning to use first to use their voice to just indicate yes, and really prompt and reinforce that. They were kind of inconsistent about that, and then used when we started offering auditory scanning choices like, do you want A, do you want B, do you want C, or something else, and then going through those choices as you've seen there. So it's really good model for that, and that was our goal. The whole thing is just modeling that vocalization at the right time with timing, um, to get Percy to show how that could be done. And Percy works. I mean, he's really distinctive, that sound. He's funny and it's very repeatable. I mean, it's just so easy to activate him, and he never needs batteries. He's really quick to respond. He can be, if you do it really loudly, he's quite enthusiastic. And it reframes that yes now as something that's achievable. That child sees that language being coming around her. The pig Percy voices yes, and helps that child understand that any consistent vocalization can be a valid response. And then the parent was really on board with this, with Percy and with this idea. And so she bought a few of these so that we had one in the kitchen and one in the playroom and one in the car too, so that Percy was always available. And that's what's really nice about Percy too, pretty cheap. And so you can buy them like a pack and on eBay, on Amazon. And we also chose Percy because of that contrast. You know, that orange is a really good contrast for lots of backgrounds. And so Percy fit right in with that scheme. Oh, I didn't do the, so there's low pressure on Percy. He just kind of comments and again, reinforces that that yes is how it's done. And like I said, available throughout the day in lots of occasions and locations. Okay. All right. So through that thing, you might have seen that Percy responds. We have a few music toys that we could play with. We could do the piano or the drum or the triangle. Which one do you want to do? And then you've seen that in the video how Percy responds to that. So the child just listening as Percy hears those choices, and Percy plays along, and the child is playing some of those instruments too, and we're taking turns and who's going to play what and which one we're going to listen to next. And then Percy just kind of, like I said, just chimes in whenever something to talk about. And he's really easy at commenting. If you ask him, should we do another one? Percy's really quick to say, yeah, let's do that. Okay. And so then some of those outcomes that we were seeing with Percy was over time that child become much more consistent with that vocalized yes. And they tolerated scanning routines for longer, started to understand what we were trying to do with the scanning, auditory scanning. Became more independent in making those choices, and the communication partners, because they had such opportunities to do it, really felt comfortable in becoming a puppet master in that way, because it was so easy to take control of Percy, and all you got to do is squeeze for yes when you're trying to say yes. So it's really easy to pick up those puppeting skills. Okay. I keep forgetting to tick along, but yeah. So my third case study. This is Izzy, and we picked up Izzy because we were trying to find a way to get someone to calibrate using their eye gaze, and they weren't really paying attention to the screen. And we call Izzy because it's like you're trying to get him to calibrate, and is he even looking at the screen? So Izzy was born and has been a really great tool for getting that attention back to the screen when we're trying to do a kind of a challenging task. So I'll show a video. This is just one I made up. It's not a great video, but it gives you an idea what Izzy is up to. Okay, Izzy, we're going to try chasing around some biscuits. I hope you're hungry. Are you hungry? Let's go for it. Oh, there's one. Go get that biscuit. Yep, you've got it. Yep, down there. Uh-huh. Yep, go eat that one. Oh, I hope you're hungry. We've got a lot of biscuits to get through. There's one over there. Keep moving. Keep going and get that one. Oh, it's moved again. Go get up and get that one. Yep. Oh, about halfway there. Come on, Izzy. Go get those biscuits. Keep eating. Oh, you're doing really good. I can see you're really hungry. Keep moving. Go get it. Go get it. There it is. Oh, up there. Yep. Yep. Oh, it's gone down again. Come on, Izzy. She keeps moving around. Keep because our child was really disengaged. And then you get scores like this. And so the child's kind of lost it at this point, you know, low scores, not looking at the screen. And so I run Izzy around the screen, and it's able to eat biscuits is what we do. We have him eat little, what we call the circles, biscuits. And as that biscuit shrinks, that's really getting the child's attention on the screen, looking at what Izzy's doing. And then when Izzy misses one, you got those red scores like that. then I can talk to Izzy, and it's not the child's fault. We don't put any of that blame on the child. Um, but it is Izzy's. And so we kind of, Izzy, are you ready for this? Do you want to have some more? Are you hungry or not? So let's try this out, Izzy. Come on, let's do this again. And so some of those reasons that it helps with Izzy is that Izzy can puppet around the screen. Izzy moves to the next target, so it really draws that attention. And it really transforms the whole thing into a game. Where I can blame Izzy if it doesn't happen, but Izzy's chasing all over the place and running after things. Okay, so some of those outcomes we're looking at with Izzy is that with Izzy, we saw sustained attention on the screen, more accurate calibration points, a willingness to do a repeat calibration, a little more endurance, resilience, and reduced frustration. And the other day, we had a colleague who was doing a calibration with this child without Izzy, and he's gotten so used to the idea of now moving around the screen that he's able to do it without it and get some really high scores, all within 96, 97. So really good scores without that. So we've seen a great improvement in his engagement during calibrations. Okay. My last case study is on a receptive language. This is a kiddo that was not using AAC, but we found some uses for puppets anyway. So let me show you one of the activities he's doing when it comes to listening to what's going on here. Yeah. Okay, on our first one, we have sit.
Sit.
And sick.
Sick.
And where are you going to hide? Where are you going to hide? Let me know. Okay, okay. You're going to hide behind that one. Okay. Okay. He's hiding behind sit. Where's sit?
Sit.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, there he was. We found you. You're hiding behind sit. Yeah, should we do another one? Okay, let's do another. We've got mouse.
Mouse.
And mouth.
Mouth.
Which one are you going to hide behind? Tell me. Okay, go for it. Okay, let's see if we can find him. Mouth.
Mouse.
Mouse, you say mouse. Let's see. Oh, no, he was hiding behind mouth. Mouth, that's where we were, weren't you? Yeah, let's try again. Let's try again. Okay, so I could explain this a little bit better. So the puppet is really the green one. That's like we talked about earlier, the Hamburglar from Minecraft, and the student would have been Sunny Girl in that example. So the puppet is just involved in hiding behind and making choices, and then it makes what kind of a drill activity a bit more fun. Because we're doing hide and seek rather than did you hear that sound? And of course, you're going to have some trouble with that. If they were really good at hearing that final consonant between mouse and mouth and hearing the difference between those two words and the minimal pairs, then it wouldn't be much of a therapy task. So it's going to have to be a little more fun, going to have to be some hide and seek. And if we don't find you, oh, let's go hide again. Let's try it again. So it makes that game a little more fun. A little bit more about this one. So this fourth case study involves a child with significant receptive language and auditory processing and comprehension needs. The puppet acts as a peer model to follow my instructions. So this is in the situation, this is a student who really could not follow instructions. Any kind of new task we introduced, it had a really difficult time doing that. And even some of the routine ones, like if I said, we would come into the room and I would say, sit down or take off your coat. He just wasn't processing what I was saying. So you can imagine that therapy progress was really slow. And so initially we decided to have a teaching assistant come into the activities, and he could watch her do the activities and they could do some turn taking once he figured out what he was supposed to do. And the problem was that the TA wasn't always available. So what's the solution? We decided to bring a puppet in because they're always going to be available. So at first I used Sunny Girl, and that was just too distracting for this young man. He was so excited about Sunny Girl and where Sunny Girl was sitting and what Sunny Girl was doing. He wanted to hold Sunny Girl. He really couldn't focus on the task. So I did, but what I had discovered is that anything with eyes for this child could be a puppet for him. And that was a nice bit of news because there are lots of plastic toys like here on the screen. Anything could be a puppet for him. And we even used a bird with him because he had a pointy beak. Anything that has arms and a beak, good pointers, work out really well when it comes to those plastic toys for him. Kids are really elastic and when it comes to play, what they accept as a puppet. So like in these examples, when I call the puppet's name, I say, Panda, it's your turn. And that alerts the child that there's some instructions that are going to be coming. So saying that Panda's name lets them know I need to listen what Panda's supposed to do. And then puppets then follows the instructions step by step. And maybe I say like, Panda, show me the cow. Show me the cow. It's the one that goes moo, or maybe something like that. And then the puppet does it, and then it's the child's turn. And so they can see what they're supposed to look at. They've learned what that vocabulary is if they aren't familiar with it. And then this gives the child more predictable routine and a visual demonstration of what those instructions mean, which was really critical for with this kiddo. And this approach turns auditory instructions into a multimodal experience. It reduces that cognitive load because of just watching and then repeating the process. It provides that repetition without feeling repetitive, and it provides a really predictable routine. The puppet becomes a bridge between the spoken language and the action because they're seeing what's supposed to happen. Because of this child's poor comprehension, he became frustrated very quickly when he was given a verbal instruction he didn't understand. And that's when we saw some of the dysregulation. But with the instructions being given to the puppet, there's really no demand on the child. So when he sees how the puppet responds, the child understands what they're supposed to do. And then with this, the child became more confident in what he would need to do. And then he'd start to hold on to the puppet and use the puppet to model to answer the questions because he felt more confident. And that's when I knew he knew what was going on, was when he said he wanted to take over the puppet because he didn't need that puppet to model the instructions anymore. He understood he could control the puppet. And that was fine, but I do bring a second puppet in when I need to because he still needs some modeling when it comes to new tasks or when he's getting some things wrong. Okay. Okay, so some of those outcomes we saw was the increased ability to follow instructions, better attention to verbal cues, reduced frustration, and increased engagement. And so the child, like I said, they're really engaged when when the puppet comes out. Okay. So I'm not going to go through that because I know we're about out of time, but it's basically a summary of what we were doing, what puppets do, how they increase the safety, summary, and I'll close and just say, is there any questions that came out of that? Hang on, I'm just going to try to stop sharing my screen.
Yep.
Okay, there we go.
Thanks, Dan. I don't see any questions yet. I see a thank you. It's been really interesting. I really love that you used the puppet in the way you did for the calibration for the eye gaze. You know, really well thought out and the great result. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really tricky on some of those, and I've used it on other, not just him, but some other ones that are like, I don't think we appreciate how difficult it must be for someone to have that head control, maintain that head control, and then things happen, that bring that head to the side or a spasm happens. It's beyond their control, and because of that can get really frustrating, and I remember one time we did the calibration and we got one, but it was like it took about 20 minutes. He's like, I'm never doing that again. And that's why I knew when we were going to try it again, because it happens, doesn't it? The calibrations get off. And it's just like, well, we're going to have to try something different. And that's, it's that desperation that leads to innovation and bringing Izzy on board.
Yeah, like you said, it's a link that it adds that visual component, and their resilience. That was amazing result. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we made him out of a pipe cleaner,
Yeah.
put some eyes on him, and then this is just it's from an umbrella. It's like an umbrella, like I don't know what they call those things, but yeah, put an
Yeah.
umbrella on there, and that just stretches down, so I can pack him around if I need to and put him away.
Yeah. I've done that, not with the umbrella. I like that. I remember you mentioned that before, and I haven't been able to get that together, but I think that circle, or a square with that pipe cleaner type of thing, has helped with some of my clients as well. But I love that with the puppet. You've got a question from Jane. Did you have to practice for a while before you were confident using a puppet?
I'm really lucky in that I've got a couple people on my team. One is used to be an actor, and the other one was like trained up by the guys that did Warhorse. And so I've had some
Wow.
support from people on thinking on things. That he's now a speech therapist on our team, um, of like making the puppet breathe a little bit. But I gotta say, I mean, I think it is pretty natural once you sort of play with it. And maybe the pig is the right way to start in with it, because it is really really simple to reply, isn't it? I mean, it's just kind of natural. So it didn't have a lot, but the one advice I did have was maybe looking at having them breathe a little bit, like have an inhalation and come back down, make it more real. But I got to tell you, I mean, the kids buy in really quickly, and so it's I think just showing your personality, or showing that puppet's personality, and it's just like I said with Sunny Girl, it's just built right in that wants to see what's going on, and who's there, and what's how she can get in trouble. And this is really fun. Like when I come into the class now, kids Sunny Girl won't be there, and they'll ask, "Where's Sunny Girl?" Sunny Girl's on their communication aids now. Where is Sunny Girl? They don't really want to know about me, but they want to know what Sunny Girl's up to. So they really get engaged with that quickly.
That's great.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for Dan? You've gotten, in the meantime, while somebody's typing, you've got you can read these as well. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Wonderful, very inspiring, brilliant, interesting. So,
One thing I'll jump in on is getting
yeah.
Sunny Girl to touch the screen these days. You've got a couple of ways on these touch screens, and so I used to use Apple Pencil and stick it into the like I said, you got the hand splint, and so I'd stick the pin in there, and that would be the way she'd touch the screen. But then I started using this stuff called Faraday tape, and it's conductive tape that you can wrap around Sunny Girl's wand, and so that's what she's using to touch the screen now. So I don't, because the Apple Pencil might get discharged or come off, and so that's the way that I can get her to use a touchscreen. And then sometimes, like I said, I'll use if I'm doing maybe eye gaze, I might use a mouse and get it to touch the screen that way. So it depends on what I'm asking her to do.
Excellent. Good tip. You've got
Yeah.
Tracy said, I think it's great using the puppets this way, and the student using it to demonstrate their understanding. Would this encourage them to be the third person, though?
Yeah, no, it's tricky. It is tricky with him. And so he's one that he's very self-directed. And so absolutely it would. It's a fine line you've got to do. And that's why I bring in a third puppet, because when he is confident and he can do it, that's fine. And again, it's not a puppet that is complicated. So like he might have this or even more simple that he's actually controlling. It doesn't do much. He wouldn't have hands in there. He wouldn't be doing like pointing with it or using it to talk, really. He just uses it to point like the puppet has been pointing. But I get what you're saying. Like, isn't that make it a little more tricky? And it does, but we make it work. And he loves that puppet. Monkey is the one he uses with me, and he's always, we're going to see Monkey, and Monkey, where are you? He's really interested in any Monkey out there, and then, oh, there he is, and Monkey's hiding or Monkey's watching him do. So it's he's very engaged with it, but it's not that engaging of a puppet. If I'm honest, doesn't do much.
Well, we probably have time for maybe one more question to sneak in. I know, Dan, we would love to hear you on and on. Gotta thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Don't see any
I
other
appreciate it.
questions coming up. Yeah, lots of thank yous. I'll let you read all of those, but I'd like to thank you as well. And CENMAC is gonna invite you. You're always welcome back. Very engaging session. Thanks very much, Dan.
You bet. Thank you, Teresa. Always a pleasure. See you.
Bye, everybody. We'll close.
Bye-bye.
Bye.